Tom was working alone that night. The moon base was quiet, almost too quiet. The power systems had gone down earlier that day due to a solar flare. Tom, a young human engineer, was sent by Central Command to repair it. He didn't mind working. Alone he liked silence, but that night something felt different. The wind outside the dome howled softly. Dust from the moon's surface brushed against the glass like whispers. Tom checked the control panel inside. The system was still. Unstable. He grabbed his helmet and tools, then stepped out into the cold. The stars above were bright, endless, and silent. As he moved along the metal path outside, his boots clicked softly on the steel. He reached the antenna tower and began repairs. The hum of broken circuits filled the air. Then something else. A soft voice, so quiet it could have been his imagination, but it spoke his name. Tom. He froze. He looked around. There was nothing but shadows and starlight. He shook his head, thinking it was just in his mind. But then the voice came again, this time stronger, closer. Tom, do you remember me? He turned fast, flashlight in hand. That's when he saw her. A figure stood just outside the floodlight's edge. She was tall, elegant, and glowing slightly in the dark. Long white hair floated around her like smoke. Her skin shimmered like gold under the stars, and her eyes bright teal glowed with strange light. Tom stepped back, heart racing. He raised his voice. Who are you? This base is restricted. She didn't move, didn't speak right away. Then softly, she said something that made his breath stop. Do you recognize me, human? I'm your childhood neighbor. Tom blinked. He was confused. What? That's impossible. I grew up on a human-only colony. The girl smiled gently, but there was sadness in her eyes. I was there too, Tom, she said, but I wasn't allowed to be seen. He looked closer now, something about her voice. It stirred something inside him, a memory he thought was just a dream. A little boy playing under the stars, a secret friend who would whisper to him through the fence, a glowing face in the night. He had always believed it was a story he made up. His parents told him it was his imagination. But now that same face was standing before him, alive, real, and watching him like he was the one who had forgotten. I don't understand, he said slowly. I'm not supposed to remember, am I? She stepped forward, slowly, carefully. I'm Liara, she said, and you were my only friend. Tom's head spun. He couldn't breathe for a moment. His eyes scanned her face. Yes, those eyes. Those eyes were in his childhood dreams. Why are you here now? He asked. Liara looked down, her voice soft again. Because everything is about to change. Before Tom could ask what she meant, his communicator crackled. A voice from the base called out, Tom, we're picking up an unknown life form near your location. Confirm status. He looked at Liara, who held up her hand quickly. Don't tell them, she whispered. They'll take me away again. Tom hesitated. The voice repeated, louder this time. Tom, do you copy? He slowly pressed the button and answered. Negative, I see no one, he lied. Just a sensor glitch returning to station. When he turned back, Liara had moved closer. She placed something small into his hand, a glowing crystal. It's time you remember, she said. Not just me, but the truth. Tom opened his mouth to speak, but she was already walking away. Her white hair glowed as it faded into the shadows. He looked down at the crystal. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat, and deep in his chest. Something pulsed with it. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't know what was coming. But one thing was certain. This was not just a memory. It was the beginning. The past was returning. And the stars were about to speak. Tom couldn't sleep that night. He kept staring at the glowing crystal Liara had placed in his hand. It was warm like a tiny flame, and it pulsed gently, like it had a heartbeat of its own. He lay on his bunk. In the base's small sleeping quarters, his mind was spinning. An alien girl had spoken his name in the dark, claimed to be his childhood friend, and somehow it felt true. He closed his eyes. Then it happened again. Another memory came. It was soft and blurry, like a dream. He was 6 years old. playing behind his home. There was a fence, and on the other side, someone laughing, a little girl with glowing eyes. He remembered passing small toys through the fence. He remembered her telling him stories about stars and moons that weren't on human maps. He thought he had made it all up. His parents had told him it was an imaginary friend. Nothing more, but now he wasn't so sure. He sat up, heart pounding. He needed answers. He opened a locked drawer in his desk and pulled out a small box of old things he kept from childhood. Inside were a few broken toy parts, a drawing, and a folded paper. The drawing made his hands freeze. It was 2 stick figures, one with normal eyes, one with large glowing circles for eyes, and above them was written, in his shaky childhood handwriting, "Me plus Lie." His breath caught. Liara. He dropped the paper and backed away like it burned him. His heart raced. This was real. He hadn't imagined her. The next morning, Tom left the base early. He followed the path where Liara had disappeared. He didn't call for her, he just waited, holding the glowing crystal tight. After 2 hours, she returned, like she had never left. She stood in silence for a moment, then said softly, "You remember now, don't you?" Tom nodded slowly. "I found the drawing," he whispered. Her smile was sad but beautiful. "You kept it," she said. "Even after they tried to erase me." Tom's eyes narrowed. Who tried to erase you?" Liara looked out at the empty sky. "My family came to your colony on a secret peace mission," she said. "We were one of the first alien families to live among humans." She looked down, but only in hiding. Tom's voice was low, confused. "But why were you hiding? Why not just tell everyone?" Liara looked at him, her eyes full of pain. "Because not everyone wanted peace," she said. "Your government allowed us quietly, but only under strict rules. We weren't allowed to reveal ourselves, especially to children. But I was a child too, and I got lonely." She smiled gently. "I found you playing behind the fence, and I couldn't help it. I spoke. You were kind, Tom. You didn't see an alien, you saw a friend." Tom sat down on a rock, feeling like the ground was shifting beneath him. "Why didn't I remember more?" he asked. "They erased parts of your memory," Liara said softly. "When we were forced to leave, soldiers came. They took my family, and they made your parents sign documents to stay silent. They wiped parts of your memory using neural dampers. But some things always remain." She pointed at his chest. "Heart remembers what the mind forgets." Tom looked down at the crystal again. "Is this why you came back? Just to remind me?" Liara shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "I came back because you're the only one who can help me stop what's coming." Tom stood, his voice shaky. "What's coming?" She looked up at the sky. "A war," she said. "One that shouldn't happen." He stared at her, speechless. She continued, "Some humans and some of my kind want to restart the conflict. They are spreading lies, hiding the truth. If they succeed, millions will die." Tom swallowed hard. "But what can I do?" Liara reached out and touched his hand. "You have a gift, Tom," she said. "You remember, you feel, and most importantly, you care." She handed him a small chip. "This holds memories," she said. "Real ones, ours, my family's. The truth. But you must decide if you want to see them." Tom took the chip and looked at her. "What happens if I do?" Liara stepped back, her voice quiet. "Then your life will never be the same." The wind picked up again, blowing dust across the empty ground. Tom stood there, holding the past in one hand and the future in the other. His childhood friend, his secret memory was real, and now she was asking him to remember not just her, but everything they once shared and everything they still could save. Tom stared at the memory chip all night. He didn't plug it in, not yet. Something inside him wasn't ready, not fear, but something deeper, like an old scar that ached before a storm. By morning, his hands were shaking with questions. He looked at the glowing crystal again, then at the old sketch of me plus Lie. How could something that felt like a dream now control his reality? He stepped out of the moon base. Liara was already waiting for him, standing silently near a small crater. She didn't speak right away. She simply turned and began walking. Tom followed. The silence between them was heavy, not awkward, but ancient. They walked for miles across the dry moon dust until they reached a ridge. Beneath it, tucked away and nearly hidden, was a cracked entrance covered in metal panels and ash. "What is this?" Tom asked, his voice low. Liara knelt and wiped away some dirt, revealing an old keypad covered in strange symbols and faded earth letters. "This used to be a shelter," she said. "It was built during the early colony days, part human, part alien design." Tom looked around, confused. "But there's nothing in the records," he said. Liara gave a small, tired smile. "That's because it was erased." She touched the keypad, entered a strange code, and the door clicked open with a slow hiss. The metal door creaked as it opened to a dark tunnel, lit only by the faint glow of her skin and the pulsing light of the crystal still in Tom's pocket. As they stepped inside, Tom felt a wave of familiarity wash over him. He shouldn't have remembered this place, but he did. Something about the walls, the smell of old metal and dust. "I was here," he whispered. "Yes," Liara said softly. "You used to play here with me." When no one was watching, they reached a wide chamber inside. It was old, but not abandoned. The walls were covered with faded drawings, some done by human hands, others with glowing alien ink. Tom stepped closer. One wall had a mural stick figures under stars. 2 kids holding hands, one human, one with glowing eyes. His breath caught. "I did this," he said. His fingers traced the lines as tears welled. In his eyes, "I really did draw this." "You loved it here," Liara whispered behind him. "This was our world, away from fear, away from rules." Tom turned to her, confused and angry. Why was it hidden? Why did no one tell the truth? Liara looked at him with sad eyes. "Because peace is fragile, Tom," she said. "There were people on both sides who didn't want humans and aliens to trust each other. They were afraid that if children like us grew up together, there would be no hate left to control." Tom felt his stomach twist. "So they destroyed the truth?" "Yes," Liara said. "They destroyed families, stories, even places like this." Tom walked deeper into the chamber. There was a small alcove in the back with toys human and alien, side by side. Tiny chairs, old data tablets, a worn-out ball. He sat down slowly, the memories flooding in now, a small voice laughing. A girl showing him the stars through a crystal map. A promise whispered, "We'll always be friends, even if the stars forget us." Tom covered his face with his hands. He couldn't stop the tears. He wasn't crying for himself. He was crying for the boy who lost a friend, and never knew why. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," he said, his voice cracking. Liara sat beside him. "No one ever is," she said gently. "But the truth matters, even if it hurts." Tom looked at her. "You kept this place alive," he said. "You remembered when I forgot." "I had to," she said. "This place is proof, Tom. Proof that we can live side by side." "That we did." Tom stood slowly, his hands trembling. He looked around the chamber one last time. "I want the truth," he said firmly. "I want to remember everything, and I want others to remember too." Liara's eyes shone like stars. "Then follow me," she said. "There's more, something buried. Deeper, something they couldn't erase." They moved to a sealed panel at the far end. It had no keypad, no visible way to open it. Liara placed her hand on it, and the wall began to glow. Tom stepped back as the panel slowly slid open, revealing a staircase spiraling downward. Cool air flowed upward, carrying a something alive, ancient, and waiting. "What is this place really?" he asked. Liara looked down the dark stairway. "This is where the first promise was made," she said, "and where the final truth is buried." Together, they stepped into the unknown. One human, one alien, walking into the heart of the forgotten. The stairs went down forever. At least, that's how it felt to Tom. Each step echoed softly, bouncing off the old stone and steel walls. The tunnel below the hidden chamber felt untouched for years, maybe decades. Lyra walked ahead, her skin glowing faintly in the dark. She didn't speak. Tom didn't either. The silence between them was heavy, like something sacred was waiting at the bottom. Finally, they reached a chamber deep underground. The walls were smooth and curved. Alien markings glowed faintly along the ceiling, gentle pulses of blue and violet. Tom had never seen tech like this. It wasn't just built, it was grown. In the center of the room stood a tall crystal pedestal. Floating above it was a rotating sphere of light. Inside the sphere, a moving image, a recording of stars, ships, and faces. It was a living memory. Lyra stepped forward and touched the pedestal. The room came alive. The walls lit up with images, scenes from the past. Tom watched in shock as one of the scenes showed a human child, him laughing and chasing a glowing ball. Behind him was Lyra, smaller, smiling. They were playing. They were happy. The scene changed. Soldiers arrived. Alarms blared. Tom's mother was crying. Lyra was pulled away by strange hands. Then a flash of light. Everything faded. Tom stepped back, tears in his eyes. They wiped it all, he whispered. My parents knew, Lyra nodded sadly. They didn't have a choice, she said. The soldiers threatened to exile any family that made contact with unauthorized alien species. They told your parents you would never have a future if they resisted. Tom clenched his fists. All because we were friends, he said bitterly. Lyra's voice grew serious. That was only the beginning, she said. They didn't just erase the past, they planned to shape the future. She walked to a second console and tapped it. A new image filled the chamber: maps, data files, video clips. Tom saw scenes of soldiers in secret meetings, alien weapons being loaded into human ships, false news broadcasts blaming aliens for human disasters. Lyra turned to him. There's a group on both sides who want to restart the war, she said. They believe peace makes us weak. They want to use fear to unite their people through hatred. Tom's chest felt tight. How soon? He asked. Lyra pointed to a countdown on the wall. 3 days, 4 hours. They plan to attack a neutral station, she said. Then blame each other, start the fire again. Tom shook his head. That station is full of civilians, he said. My cousin works there, Lyra nodded. They don't care who dies, she said. As long as the war begins. Tom looked at her. Why me? He asked. Why tell me? Lyra stepped closer. Because you remember, she said. Because you're human, but you loved someone alien. You are the proof that peace can work. She handed him a new crystal, this one larger, glowing red. This has evidence, she said. Videos, names, locations, everything. But if you carry it, they'll come after you. Tom stared at the crystal, then at the countdown. His hands trembled. I'm not a hero, he said quietly. I fix wires, I build panels, I'm not. This, Lyra smiled gently. You were my hero once, she said. When no one else talked to me, you did. When everyone feared me, you laughed. That boy is still inside you. Tom looked down. Her words felt like sunlight in his chest, warm and painful at the same time. He took the red crystal and nodded slowly. I'll stop them, he said. Even if I have to do it alone. You won't be alone. Lyra said softly. She opened her palm, revealing a communication chip. This links to others like me, hidden across colonies. If you send the signal, they'll help. Suddenly, the chamber's walls flickered. A warning light blinked. Motion detected above. They found us, Lyra whispered. Tom looked at the entrance they came through. We need to move, he said. They ran back up the stairs. Tom's hand clenched tight around the crystal. His heart beat faster with every step. Not just from fear but from purpose. He was no longer just an engineer on a broken base. He was a key to stopping a war. And the stars had chosen him to remember. Alarms echoed through the tunnel walls. Red lights blinked above as dust began to fall from the ceiling. Lyra grabbed Tom's arm, her voice sharp. They're here, military scouts, maybe hunters. Tom didn't ask who sent them. He already knew. Whoever wanted to erase the past was ready to erase them too. They ran back through the tunnels. Tom's boots slipped on the dusty floor, but Liara moved like the air around her guided each step. Behind them, a faint hum grew louder. Machines. Drones are worse. Tom's heart pounded in his ears. He wasn't trained for this. He fixed systems, not fought soldiers, and yet he ran, not for himself, but for the memories in his hand. The crystal in his pocket now felt like it burned against his skin. They reached the old shelter's entrance. Tom slammed his hand against the emergency seal, and the door closed behind them with a heavy hiss. But they had no time. Liara turned to the left, leading him toward an old mining tunnel barely held up by rusted beams. "We're not going back to the base?" Tom asked, confused. "They'll search it first," Liara said. "I know another way, a forgotten path." As they crawled through the narrow space, Tom noticed markings on the tunnel walls, symbols from both human and alien languages mixed together. He touched one. "What is this place?" "A promise," Liara answered softly. "A place built by both species long ago, before fear took over. A path for those who believed in unity." Tom was silent. He had never heard of such a thing in any history books. So much was hidden. He wondered how much else had been kept from him and the world. They reached a small cavern where the tunnel split. Liara stopped, leaned against the wall, and winced. Tom turned quickly. "You're hurt," he said, noticing blood seeping through her sleeve. "I took a hit when we fled the chamber," she said calmly. "I'll be fine." Tom tore a strip from his jacket and wrapped her arm tightly. "Why didn't you say anything?" he asked, frustrated. "Because the truth is bigger than me," she said, her voice steady. "I'll keep moving until I can't." For a moment, neither spoke. The air smelled of rust and ancient stone. Tom's hand trembled as he checked the red crystal again. It was still intact, still glowing. It carried memories of war, of betrayal, of two children who were never supposed to meet. And now it carried hope. "We're close," Liara said, standing again. "There's a tower ahead, a broken transmission node. It still has a deep channel uplink to the outer relay network." Tom's eyes widened. "You mean we can broadcast from it?" She nodded. "If we send the proof from there, others will see it before the attack happens." They moved faster now. The tunnel opened into an old communication station, half buried in moonrock and forgotten tech. Panels were broken, the roof was cracked, but the core systems flickered with power. Tom's fingers moved quickly across the dusty interface. He bypassed locks, reconnected uplinks, recharged nodes. Liara leaned on the wall, watching him with quiet strength. She smiled faintly. "You've changed, Tom." "So have you," he replied, not looking away from the screen. "But I think we're still the same inside." Finally, the uplink light turned green. Tom inserted the red crystal into the main port. "Uploading now," he said, the screen filled with data images, audio files, security footage, memories of children playing, of soldiers breaking promises, of missions planned in the dark. Then, a loud crash shook the walls. A steel door was blasted open in the lower section of the tower. "They found us," Liara whispered, standing tall despite her wound. She picked up a small alien blade and stood in front of Tom. "I'll hold them," she said firmly. "You finished the upload?" "No," Tom said, standing beside her. "We do this together." But before he could argue more, a shadow appeared in the hallway, then another. 2 drones hovered forward, scanning the room with blue lights. Tom grabbed a pipe from the floor and struck the nearest drone, sparks flying as it fell. Liara slashed the second one with swift, clean motion. Alarm sounded again, but the upload bar on the screen was nearly full 95%. Tom's lip was bleeding, but he grinned. "Almost there." Liara stepped back beside him. "If we die here," she said quietly, "at least they'll know the truth." "No," Tom said. "We live because the truth is only the beginning." The upload completed. A loud beep confirmed the message was sent out into deep space, into every hidden receiver, into places where people still remembered peace. Tom pulled the crystal out, and the screen faded. But outside, more enemies were coming. They had exposed the truth. Now came the fight to survive it. Asterisk, the moment the signal was sent, the world changed. But Tom didn't know it yet. Right now, all he knew was that more footsteps were coming. Louder this time, he grabbed Lyra's arm, helping her move toward a hidden service hatch behind the old tower. She was breathing hard, her wound bleeding again. Tom's heart pounded. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't trained for war, but he had made a choice. The truth was out. Now they just had to survive long enough to see what came next. Outside, small recon drones circled the ruined area, their scanners sweeping in wide arcs. Tom and Lyra slipped into the crawl tunnel beneath the station. It was tight and dusty, but it bought them time. As they moved through the narrow metal corridor, the old relay tower above them blinked. Then somewhere miles away, a screen lit up. And then another, and another, on a civilian space station. A cafeteria filled with tired workers paused as their wall monitor suddenly changed. A video began playing. 2 children, a human boy and an alien girl, laughing together in starlight. The images looked old, soft, innocent. Then came clips of hidden meetings, secret deals, and whispers of a war long planned. People across the galaxy stared in silence. Some gasped, others cried. A few screamed, but no one looked away in the capital city on Earth. Military leaders were mid-meeting when their secure feed was hijacked. They watched in horror as their darkest secrets were exposed. Images of forged attacks, staged raids, and speeches written to divide. In a distant alien command vessel, generals saw the same images, and for the first time in years, one of them whispered they were telling the truth. Back beneath the surface, Tom and Lyra reached the end of the tunnel. They emerged behind a cracked ridge near the base of the old crater. Above them, gunships began circling, searching. They ducked low, hiding under a rock shelf. Lyra leaned back, her face pale, her voice faint. "Did it work?" she asked. Tom pulled out a small wrist screen and checked the transmission logs. A confirmation blinked. Broadcast complete. Receivers 9. 431 active. He looked at her and smiled. "Yes," he said. "They saw everything." She let out a weak laugh. "Good," she said. "Then maybe it was worth it." Suddenly, a shadow loomed overhead. A drone hovered above the ridge. It had found them. Tom stood quickly, pulling a small tool from his belt. He pointed it at the drone's lens and triggered a flash pulse. The drone sparked and fell from the sky. But others were coming. From the sky, 2 gunships descended fast, lights flashing. Weapons armed, Tom raised his hands, shielding Lyra behind him. "We don't want to fight," he shouted. "We just told the truth." For a moment, there was only silence. Then a voice crackled through the loudspeakers. "Do not move, stay where you are." Tom looked down at Lyra. "If we get taken, stay quiet," he whispered. "They might not hurt you now, too many people are watching." But before the gunships could land, something unexpected happened. A new shadow passed above Sleek. Fast, silent, a different kind of ship, alien design, marked with peaceful emblems. It fired a pulse. Not at Tom, but at the gunships. A wave of energy disabled their engines, and the ships dropped gently to the ground. No explosions, no death. Just silence. Then, a soft beam of light shone down on Tom and Lyra. A voice called from above, calm and clear. "You are under the protection of the Galactic Truth Accord. You will not be harmed." Tom helped Lyra stand as the ship lowered a ramp. Several figures stepped out, humans and aliens, side by side. Not soldiers, not agents, witnesses. Protectors, diplomats. One of them, an older human woman, stepped forward. "We saw your broadcast," she said, her voice kind. "You didn't just change opinions, you changed history." Tom looked at Lyra. She was smiling again, despite her pain. Her eyes were full of quiet pride. "Maybe peace really has a chance now," she said softly. Tom nodded. "For the first time." "I think so." As they boarded the ship, the sky above them glowed with messages. People were talking on Earth, on alien worlds, on old spaceports and new colonies. They were asking questions, demanding answers. They were remembering, The truth had shaken the system, but it had also started something new, something stronger than silence. It had started hope. The healing pod opened with a soft hiss. Tom blinked against the gentle white light above him. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. The silence was calm, not like the silence before danger, but like the quiet after a long storm, a smooth voice spoke beside him. "You're safe now, Tom." He turned his head slowly, and there she was, Liara alive, sitting beside him, her arm wrapped in white bandages. Her eyes still glowed that soft teal, but now they were filled with peace. Not fear. "How long was I out?" he asked, his voice dry. 2 days, Liara said, smiling gently. "They had to repair your lungs from the tunnel smoke." Tom chuckled softly, then winced. "Still hurts to laugh. You've earned a rest," she said. "You stopped a war." Tom looked around, realizing he was aboard an alien vessel. The walls curved like flowing glass, pulsing with soft light. It felt like standing inside a living star. Peaceful, warm, safe. He sat up slowly, and Liara helped him. Her hand lingered in his just a moment longer than needed. And in that moment, Tom felt it again, that same feeling he had forgotten as a boy. Not just friendship, not just curiosity, but something deeper, something that had waited years in silence. "People believed us?" he asked finally. Liara nodded. "Yes," she said. "Your message reached millions. Old officers were arrested. Hidden truths were exposed. Leaders from both sides called for emergency peace talks." Tom leaned back against the pod and stared at the ceiling. "I never thought something so small, a memory, could change everything." "Memory is never small," Liara said softly. "It shapes who we are. And yours never let go of me." Tom turned to her again. There was something in his eyes now, a light that had returned. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the faded drawing he had once found. It had somehow survived all this. 2 stick figures, side by side, under stars. "Me plus Lai." She took the drawing gently, tears touching her eyes. "You kept this," she whispered. "I tried to forget, but something always pulled me back," Tom said. "I didn't know it was you. But now I do," Liara smiled. "And I never stopped remembering you," she said. "You were the only human who didn't look at me like I was different. You just saw me." Silence filled the room again, but this time it was peaceful. Then the ship's communication screen lit up. A message from the new Peace Council. Tom and Liara leaned closer to listen. The voice was clear and steady. "Today, we confirm that war has been prevented, thanks to 2 brave souls who remembered a forgotten friendship. Let this be a new beginning, not of silence, but of shared stories." Tom smiled. "Guess we're famous now," Liara laughed. A soft, beautiful sound. "Fame is nothing," she said. "But truth, that's forever." The ship began to shift, preparing to return to Earth. Tom looked out the large window at the stars. They didn't feel so cold anymore. They felt alive, like they were watching, like they remembered too. "So what happens next?" he asked. Liara leaned her head on his shoulder. "We tell our story," she said. "We help others remember what they've forgotten. And maybe we build something better." Tom rested his hand on hers. "No more hiding," he said. "No more lies," she nodded. "Just truth." As the stars passed by outside, the ship moved gently through space. Below, planets stirred and voices rose. With hope, children of both kinds, human and alien, began hearing a new story. Not one of war, but of wonder. Of 2 kids who laughed behind a fence and reminded the galaxy that peace was possible. In that quiet moment, Tom looked at Liara one more time. His voice was soft but certain. "I remember you now, Liara." And this time he meant every word.